Hi everyone, Gil Gross here, and Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, for the first time in over 2 years, is probably going to happen, finally, in the French Open semifinals. Last time it was going to happen, it was a drill. This time I don't think it's going to be a drill. Last time was a drill. I made a 29-minute video essentially chronicling the history of this matchup, the tactics in this matchup, why Nadal gave so much trouble to Federer for such a long time, and then why Federer reeled off 5 straight victories with the adjustments that he primarily made in 2017 when he went 4-0 against Nadal. If you're interested in that and you want the full depth of the tactical history of this matchup, I'm going to leave a link to that video. Probably either comment it or leave it in the description, or both. So check that out if you're interested. In the interest of this, I'm more interested in talking about the adjustments that Federer made and considering how clay court conditions will affect those adjustments, and will Federer's game plan continue to work against Nadal on clay, is I think the main thing that I'm going to focus on here. And I will give you my pick at the end. I'm going to make you wait for it. So, the 3 main adjustments I highlighted that Federer made was 1, abandoning the slice completely against Nadal. 2, hitting aggressive backhand returns and sitting on that serve, anticipating the out-wide lefty serve that Nadal has on the ad side and not letting him get away with simply, 70% slice serves out wide, or T on the deuce side, not letting him get away with that, playing aggressive, rushing him. The third thing was court position, playing more aggressive, moving up to avoid letting Nadal kick it up high, especially on his backhand. So those are the 3 major adjustments that Federer made, in my opinion. Let's go through each one. First of all, let's talk about the slice. The fact that Federer completely abandoned the slice against Nadal in 2017, tried to hit over his backhand whenever he could, and it worked wonders for him. Can he do that on clay? The answer is probably not, because Nadal has a massive power advantage over Federer. And on this surface, as I've said a lot this clay court season, power is very important to hit through the slower surface. It's a great tool to have. It mitigates the difficulties that clay courts present in generating offense. Thiem, Wawrinka, Nadal, Karen Khachanov is doing great in this tournament, right? These are all very powerful players. If Federer hits over all his backhands, to me, he's sort of playing into Nadal's rhythmic power game from the back of the court. He must disrupt Nadal's rhythm. He must move him in and give him change-ups. Because if he hangs back and trades ground strokes with him in a manner in which he's not using variety and change-ups very often, he is going to lose in the power game, just like he did at Indian Wells against Dominic Thiem. He's going to get overpowered from the back. So I don't think the way that he was able to kind of generate offense on his backhand side and rush Rafa on many occasions by hitting over his backhand, and Nadal was so good against slice. So to just avoid slice at all costs, I don't know if that's going to be the answer on clay. If he tries it, I think there's going to be real downsides, because I do think that will accentuate the disadvantage that Federer has in the power department from the baseline. Second thing, the backhand return and hitting over the backhand return. Now, I think that Nadal needs to try very hard to serve it a lot at Federer's forehand, almost as much as Federer's backhand. Do a better job of that than he did in 2017. I think he needs to do a much better job of keeping Federer guessing a little bit, because Federer, he will jump on that return. He will hit over his backhand return. He does it better now, I think, at this point in his career, being aggressive on that shot. He's better at that now than he ever was, or at least starting in 2017. So Nadal needs to mix it up more. If Nadal doesn't mix it up more and makes the same mistakes, and Federer is kind of sitting on that serve and he hits aggressive, he hits over it, it's going to be harder to rush him. It's going to be much easier for Nadal to still neutralize the aggressive backhand return and get into a neutral baseline rally. So, again, that's another strategy that Federer used, a little bit less effective. The third one is the court position. This is going to be the key of the match, in my opinion. It's going to be about Nadal's ability to attack using height. And I talked about how Federer has added some loop to his game because attacking with height is really very effective on clay. To me, if Nadal drops it shorter in the court with heavy topspin, I think it's probably still this surface and the high bounce. It's going to be much harder for Federer to keep the ball in his strike zone. What Federer will try to do, take the ball in the rise, that's harder on clay. I think the bounce has been little inconsistent, especially, this won't be on Suzanne Lenglen, it'll be on Chatrier, but I've especially noticed that on Suzanne Lenglen. But as a whole, the bounce is more inconsistent on clay. It's harder to hit on the rise on clay. It's easier on hard court, and it's difficult on grass, but it's the hardest on clay. So if Federer is going to play on the rise, is he going to hit a little bit less clean than he has in the past? That's something to think about. Will it be harder for him to keep it in his strike zone because of Nadal's heavy topspin? Yeah, it probably will be. Does Federer want to move back? No. It puts him in a pretty tough position. All in all, considering all things considered, the rally that Federer started to win when he started to have success against Nadal, the backhand cross court to Nadal's forehand, the rally on the ad side, I don't think Federer can win that on clay. So I think that this matchup is very different on this surface. What Federer is going to need to do is he's going to need to kind of implement the sort of strategy that he did in Indian Wells against Thiem, and I know some Federer fans might be like, what are you talking about? He lost that match. But it's the same situation. It's a slow, gritty surface where Federer is at a disadvantage when it comes to power, so he must use change-ups and variety. He cannot let Nadal get any rhythm. He needs to go to the net a lot. He needs to mix in drop shot. He needs to mix in high looping shots. He needs to really continuously change it up at all times and make Nadal uncomfortable in that sense. Federer needs to use more variety than he even usually does. That guy is so cool. I'd love to be him. I'm just kidding. If you have a loud car, no offense. Yeah, I mean, Federer's known for his variety. We all know this. He needs to double, triple it, which he generally does on clay. He understands that. So that's Federer's path. All in all, I think that Nadal, I like all the patterns on this surface for him. I really like... I just don't think that Federer can win the cross-court rally on the ad side. So I don't know how much is going to change. I feel like this matchup will go kind of back a little bit to how it used to look, a little bit more. Now the difference is Nadal is not the same defensively as he used to be in this matchup, but I would say Nadal's forehand down the line, for example, is probably better at this stage than it was. The only way that I think Federer wins this match, because I really do think that Nadal, I think it's asking too much for Federer to use the kind of craft that it would require to beat Nadal, because at the end of the day, you're going to get into a lot of baseline rallies from the back of the court, and I don't love Federer's chances in those. And he's not going to get the free points on his serve. He's not going to get that advantage either. So it's tough for me to see Federer having a lot of success unless he puts on an absolute masterclass in variety and racket skill magic. I don't know how else to put it. trying to think if I left anything out. My pick is Nadal in 4. Oh yeah, I was talking about how things are different. Oh, and the one thing to watch out for is the other thing is probably Federer feels like maybe an underdog here, and Nadal probably feels like he's a little bit expected to win. So, our eyes should be kind of on the nerve department, and maybe Federer will have a big edge in mindset because of his more freewheeling mentality. But this surface takes a lot away from Federer and adds a lot to Nadal's game, and I do not see Federer winning. I see Nadal in 4. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.